8 ways to keep control when they want to fuck you over. Stoicism. There are moments when maintaining control is not an act of coldness, but one of pure self-preservation. It's like the captain who, amidst the roaring waves and the weight of the wind against the sails, keeps a firm hand on the helm. He knows he doesn't control the storm, but he controls the direction. And in the sea of life, this silent control is the only anchor that keeps us from being dragged where we don't want to go. Seneca said that strength lies not in preventing the waters from churning, but in not allowing them to divert our course. Think of the times when your blood boiled, when every fiber of your body wanted to scream, when your mouth burned with words begging to be spoken. Epictetus reminds us that the offense is not in the act itself, but in the meaning we choose to give it. And in that choice lies power. Because there is an immense difference between reacting to prove something and responding to protect your own center. To react is to surrender to the other's field, to fight the battle they have chosen. To respond is to choose the terrain, the time, and even whether the fight is worth it. Those who seek to destabilize us rarely just want to be right. They seek the spectacle of our fall. They want to see the tremor in our hands, the wavering in our voice, the loss of control that becomes their invisible trophy. And when we offer calmness instead of fury, silence instead of screams, lucidity instead of an outburst, we deny them the fuel they so desperately crave. It is in that instant that, without even realizing it, we become the stone in the middle of the river. The current tries to drag us, but it is we who force the water to change its path. Perhaps you have felt anger rise like a fire in your chest, burning the air you breathe, making your heart beat like a war drum. In that moment, every cell calls to burn everything, to destroy what hurts us, to raise what confronts us. But fire, no matter how hot, leaves only ash when it consumes what is valued. That is why control is not repression. It is the channel that guides the river so it doesn't overflow. The wall that protects the city without suffocating the wind. The hand that holds the sword but only raises it when victory means peace and not just revenge. Maintaining control in the end is choosing to be the commander of your own ship, even when everyone around you tries to take the helm. It is feeling the gale hit your face and knowing that as long as your course remains firm, no storm will be able to define who you are. Because, as Seneca said, the strong man is invincible, not because he wins every battle, but because he does not let himself be defeated by himself. The invisible attack is the most dangerous. The blow that hurts the most is not always the one that arrives with noise. Often it comes disguised as laughter, an innocent comment, an almost imperceptible gesture. It is the arrow that is not seen, but that strikes with precision the most vulnerable point. There are words not spoken in a loud tone, but that penetrate like needles into the flesh of the soul. Little ironies, calculated glances, subtle provocation. This is how many test our defenses without us being able to directly accuse them of an attack. The danger of this type of assault is that it feeds on our attention. Every time we try to respond to these invisible arrows, we give away energy, time, and focus. It's like trying to fight the wind with bare hands. The breeze may seem harmless, but if we get distracted by it, we fail to see the storm forming on the horizon. It is at this point that Seneca warns, an insult only lives as long as we give it shall, finds no home, disappears into the air. Maintaining control in the face of an invisible attack doesn't mean ignoring everything, but recognizing that some battles are trapped. By trying to win every provocation, we get caught in a net that we did not weave. We must remember that many of these arrows have no real power. They only gain strength when we hold them in our hand. The silent victory, in this case, is not to react, but to let the projectile fall before it even touches the skin. There is a serene strength in this kind of resistance. It is like the mountain that does not move to answer the wind that surrounds it, but remains there, immutable, forcing the air to change its path. When we choose not to feed these small aggressions, it's as if we become invisible to them. The aggressor launches their strike and, finding no target, feels the weight of their own frustration. The invisible attack is dangerous not because it has absolute power, but because it invites us to open the door to it. And it is precisely this door that we must keep clothed, because inner peace is not negotiated with those who seek only the pleasure of our downfall. It is preserved in silent discernment and in the ability to stay on our own course, even when the currents try to pull us into unknown waters, the silence that bewilders the provoked. There is a type of response not found in words, but in their absence, a silence that is not empty, but full of meaning. It carries the weight of a conscious decision, the mastery over one's own impulse, and the refusal to play the game of those who wish to destabilize us. When the other expects screams and finds serenity, expects confrontation and finds stillness, it is as if they are torn from the role they had rehearsed for themselves. Marcus Aurelius saw this silence as an instrument of strength, for what is not fed weakens and dies. True silence is not escape, it is present. It is not cowardice, it is strategy. It is the pause between an attack and a reaction, where the mind gains time to breathe and the heart finds space to choose. It is as if, for an instant, we could step out of the scene and observe it from above, seeing the entire board instead of just the piece that moved against. This broader view allows us to realize that many provocations are not about us, but about the emptiness of the person who launches them. Some are deeply bothered by silence because it is a mirror. In it, the provoker sees themselves without the veil of distract. They expected to shape our expression, alter our tone of voice, create cracks in our control. But silence only returns the sound of their own footstep, the echo of their own word. And in that moment, the one who feels exposed is the one who tried to expose us. To remain silent does not mean to deny one's own pain or to swallow what is unjust. It means choosing the time and manner of response without being dragged by the tide of emotion. It is understanding that often the noise of our defense only confirms to the other that they have managed to hit us. Silence, on the other hand, deconstructs the narrative, breaks the cycle, and keeps us at the center, firm as the rock that the sea can embrace 1,000 times without moving a single inch. Silence, when born from self-mastery, is more eloquent than any fiery speech. It says, I am not the stage for your war. I do not dance to the sound of your music. I follow my own rhythm. And in that calm and unshakable rhythm, we find not only peace, but a victory that does not need to be proclaimed to be felt. The trap of wounded pride. There are blows that do not come to destroy us immediately, but to ignite a slow fire within us. Wounded pride is one of it. Whispers that we need to restore our image now, this instant, in front of everyone. It screams that we cannot let it pass, that the response must be immediate, as if every second of silence were a stain on our honor. It is in this urgency that we become predictable. It is in this impulse that we hand the other the key to our behavior. Pride, when inflamed, is like a glass filled to the brim. A slight touch is enough to make it overflow. And those who provoke us know that. Therefore, they craft attacks that seem tailor-made to cause this spill. They want to see the reaction. They want to watch the moment when, to defend our dignity, we let slip precisely what we most wanted to protect, our calm, lucidity, and clarity about what really mattered. The trap of wounded pride is that it disguises itself as courage. It makes it seem like we are just defending our principles when often we are just feeding the game of those who poke it. It's as if we are in a minefield, and instead of crossing carefully, we choose to step on every bomb just to prove that we can. There is no victory in this kind of challenge, only exhaustion. Seneca warned that greatness of spirit is not measured by the number of battles fought, but by the ability to choose which ones are worth the energy we carry inside. Wounded pride wants us to enter every battle, even if they are small, petty, and meaningless. Wisdom wants us to save our sword for when the fight is for something that truly sustains our integrity. When we resist the trap of pride, we create space to realize that often true dignity is not in retaliating, but in maintaining serenity. It is refusing to become a reflection of the aggressor. It is not allowing the urgency to prove who we are, to erase precisely who we are. Because in the end, he who preserves his own center has already achieved the only victory that matters. Creating an inner space before acting. Between the instant something happens and the moment we respond, there is a space, small, silent, almost imperceptible. It is in this interval that freedom resides, because while we react automatically, we are hostages to what we feel. But when we inhabit this space, we become masters of our choices. It's like standing before a door that opens to two paths. One leads to an impulsive reaction, the other to a conscious response. The first is quick, but almost always costly. The second requires a breath, but preserves what is most valuable. To to us. Epictetus said that it is not the situation itself that destabilizes us, but the narrative we create about it. And this inner space is precisely the place where we can rewrite that narrative. There, what seemed like an affront might be revealed as mere carelessness. What seemed like an attack might be interpreted as noise. Creating this distance doesn't mean denying the emotion, but embracing it enough so that it doesn't need to scream. Sometimes a simple gesture is enough to open this pause, taking a deep breath, letting the air in as if inviting the world inside, and releasing it as if returning what you don't want to carry. Moving slowly, allowing the body to accompany the mind in the search for clarity. Looking around not to escape, but to remember that the world is larger than the moment that irritates you. These are small actions that change the course of a conversation, a decision, an entire day. This space is like a secret refuge we carry wherever we go. No one can enter it without permission. In it, the voices of others fade. The echo of our own emotion softens and thought becomes clear. It is there that we understand that not every provocation deserves a response, and that sometimes our greatest strength lies in waiting for the right moment to act, or simply choosing not to act. Creating an inner space before acting is like building a bridge over a turbulent river. You can cross safely and watch the waters pass without being swept away by them. Because in the end, freedom is not in controlling the world, but in controlling what the world awakens within us. Conclusion. Seneca reminded us that the true victory is not in winning every dispute, but in going through each one with an intact mind. It's easy to believe that resisting is synonymous with responding, but Stoicism teaches us that often to resist is to choose silence, to preserve one's center, to hold the helm steady even when the sea seems to want to swallow it. This strength is not made of rigidity, but of flexibility. It is the bamboo that bends in the wind, does not break. It is the rock that remains motionless, but allows itself to be polished by the waters over time. Cicero said that dignity is like armor. He who truly wears it does not need to show that he has it, because no blow penetrates to the core of his being. And it is this silent and firm dignity that keeps us standing in the face of any attack. It is not pride, not vanity. It is coherent. When our actions and values walk side by side, there is no provocation that can tear us away from ourselves. Maintaining control is not refusing movement, but choosing the right move. It is knowing that every reaction costs energy, and that this energy must be invested only in what is truly worthwhile. It is accepting that not all battles are worth fighting, because some only lead us away from the destination we wish to reach. Control is, in essence, the freedom to decide which weight to carry and which to leave behind. In the end, resisting provocation is like holding the helm firm in a storm, not because we believe it will pass quickly, but because the course matters more than the chaos around. He who yields to the wind may gain speed, but he loses the destination. He who stays the course, even under the roar of the wave, arrives where his heart had already decided. And perhaps the question that remains echoing is this: if you didn't have to prove anything to anyone, how would you respond now? Because in the silence of that answer lies the truest portrait of the strength you carry.